I think we're just about live. Still setting it up, so just kind of gonna chill tonight, do some Q&A, and I have to just send out some links and kind of say, hey world, we're live right now, so come on in and hang out. Alright, and got that going on. A tweet. Dude, Ryan Johnson liked one of my tweets today. It was awesome. I don't care if you don't like Last Jedi or whatever, but that's still pretty cool. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was just, somebody had a picture of like a cup next to Leia in the Last Jedi, and they're like, hey, this is the only problem with the Last Jedi, is that all this space age technology, and Leia's just got a regular old cup, you know, and it wasn't even regular. It was a metallic cup. It was like a, you know, like a Yeti or something. And you know, I said it would be funny if it was a red Solo cup. And Ryan Johnson liked my tweet, and I was like, because it was kind of, you know, Solo cup. Haha. Anyway, it was funny. It was funny. Anyway, it wasn't that funny, but it was good enough to get a little like. So I was quite pleased with doing changing things up a little bit lately. So let's see, what have I been up to? I have started in a Star Wars RPG campaign. That's pretty cool. And I've been playing Diablo 3. I don't play that many PC games anymore. I do a little bit of streaming. I'll try a new game here and there. I played a lot of PC gaming, like when Battlefront, the last Battlefront 2 came out, you know, and then that just kind of got old. But I've been doing a lot of Diablo 3. They started a new season, and I love Diablo 3. Especially the way the ladder, the way it just resets and you have to start all over again, and it's brilliant just to recapture the magic of like getting that 6 set bonus again, and what it just opens up. Oh man, it was great. It was really, really great. So I'm loving Diablo 3. Maybe I'm on the top 1,000 Crusaders right now, but you know, I had got up to like 768 and then dropped off again, and then this morning I played on lunch a little bit and got back on the top 1,000 again, like 988 or something like that. So I'm in the 90s for the greater rifts right now, so I'm doing good. Let's talk about the Star Wars RPG, because some of you guys are interested in the Star Wars RPG. We're doing all right. So first off, let me give a little backstory, because I have not really. You could say I've never actually played an RPG properly. Properly being the key word. You see, when I was a teenager, I was I think a freshman in high school, and I got my first exposure to Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe not a freshman. Maybe I was in 8th grade. Maybe it might have been in middle school. Anyway, I played, or I picked up my player's handbook for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition. And I loved it. I was just experiencing, I was starting to discover who I was and what things that really made me tick. And I loved this player's handbook. I thought it was the coolest thing. And a lot of my friends were all playing, you know, getting exposure to it at the same time too. And so I loved the art. I read that thing cover to cover, and I was not much of a reader. I read a lot more now. I do a lot of Audible, as a matter of fact. I love to read. I love audiobooks, especially because I can paint when I read. I've been doing some painting too. I'll show you some. Remind me later. I'll show you some pictures of that. But and hey, everybody that's joining us. We're just starting out, but I'm getting ready to talk. I'm talking a little bit about the Star Wars RPG that I've been exposed to lately. We've been kind of running. We were supposed to play tonight, but it got last minute cancellation, so we'll pick it up next week. But so let's see. I never actually really got to play Dungeons and Dragons. We kind of did a little bit. My mom didn't like it. my mom was, our household was very, very religious, and Mom thought Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, that it was the devil, etc. And so, like, I had to, like, sneak stuff in the house. And so I was never, so I couldn't just be like, hey, Mom, I'm going to play Dungeons and Dragons. She's like, hell you are. That's the devil's game. So I never really got to play much. I would play, like, one time over, like, my friend had, like, spent weeks putting a campaign together. And we were all teenagers. We didn't know what we were doing anywhere. And I just wanted to be kind of chaotic. So, like, we kind of started playing. And I just went, like, I started attacking villagers, like, right away before we even got the we're like, it was one of these deals like, you meet some people in an inn, but like, I'm gonna go out and find villagers and start punching them, and I'm like, all right, well, a dragon swoops down and eats you, and I was dead. And like, just like that, I don't think I rolled a single die, and I was dead before the campaign even started. My friend was annoyed that I ruined his campaign, and I'm like, I just wanted to kind of go crazy. I just wanted to test the limits to see what I could do in an RPG, because supposedly you could do anything. So I never really got to play, So we started, my friend talked me into the Star Wars RPG, and I said he was going to be running a campaign. It's Sean, the guy I play a lot of games with. I play, do a lot of my battle reports with Sean. And, and he kind of, he had been talking to me about it for a while, and trying to get me into it for the longest time. And I said, no, not before Gen Con. I had a lot of stuff going on before Gen Con. A lot of things people were sending me to review. I had a lot of things like that lined up. So Gen Con came and went, and we finally sat down. I said, all right, you teach me about how this game works. What makes it different than like regular Dungeons and Dragons. We kind of talked about how, and it's cool because if you're not familiar with it, it's got this dice system, and there's multiple different symbols on different types of dice, and basically anything you're trying to do, there's successes and failures, but there's also advantage and threat. And so and those are weighed independently against each other. So you have, you can, like, I'm trying to jump, you can fail, but also have advantage. So you can fail, but something good happens, or you can succeed, but something bad happens. So like maybe I'm trying to punch this guy and I succeed, but I get a whole bunch of threat, and it could be like I punch him and it knocks him into the self-destruct switch, and now the ship is going to blow in 30 seconds. So there's and it's cool because as you roll these dice, I'm not a veteran on this RPG. When we're playing Edge of the Empire. So like kind of like early days of the Empire, we're kind of in the Outer Rim. We're playing kind of like in I think the Solo movie, that kind of, underworld, folks like that. No Jedis or anything like that. But I just like the collaboration. Like I can talk to the game master. I can talk to the GM about like, well, maybe my success is this, and they're like, okay, good, yeah, that works. So it's very collaborative. It's very fun, and I mean, and honestly, a lot of it is just the freedom to do whatever you want, And so I like that. And so I'm playing a little bit of a chaotic character. I'm playing like an Aqualish, and very much like Ponda Baba, but more brawny, more of I'm a hired gun, and although I don't use guns, I'm a melee guy. And the whole idea, I kind of wanted to base this off of an old character of mine from EverQuest, kind of like a bruiser who was not a fan of the Jedi, and so he's almost like and like I said, like kind of like a mage slayer. I wanted somebody who could maybe resist the Force, but would be strong enough to go like rush toe to toe and and then tackle somebody before they can get their lightsaber out or something like that. And that was kind of the idea, the inspiration for my character. And so that's kind of the thing. I give my character a backstory, like his mom was killed during the Clone Wars, and he blames the Jedi for letting her die. So he's not and his dad told him, he was just a little kid, and his dad told him that. His dad blames the Jedi, so that, I don't want to call it racism, but xenophobic, racist-esque kind of stereotypes were taught to my character. So that's why my character is very much not a fan of anything Jedi related. And so, wouldn't it be ironic if I ended up realizing that I was Force sensitive or something like that? So there's a whole bunch of story that can go along with all of this. But, you know, and it's cool because we're all working for like the same gangster type, this big shot gangster putting together a crew. And so we're playing with like 5 people. And we all have our different backgrounds. And I'm kind of like the Chewbacca, or more like the Zeb Aurelius. I'm kind of like the Zeb on the crew. I'm the big muscle, big kind of dumb guy. And I'm having a blast with it. I'm playing a little bit chaotic, not as much as like, hey, I'm just gonna go punch villagers, but I am certainly willing to test the limits of what our GM has planned for us. So like one of the first things is we had to do like basically a cargo run, you know, drop some stuff off on this planet and then collect the money and then come back. Should have been routine, etc., etc. And we ended up getting intercepted by an Imperial patrol that said, hey, you know, you guys aren't supposed to be coming through this way. This is not a shipping lane, because we were taking a shortcut. And, you know, we got boarded, and it felt like very much like Firefly, you know. And something went wrong, and all of a sudden a firefight broke out while we were being boarded, and like a Lambda shuttle came out from this Star Destroyer and docked with us to inspect us. And I ended up stealing the shuttle. And so that was kind of fun. So like, you know, and I don't think that was planned. We were supposed to just like, you know, escape. And I said, no, we're not just escaping. We're going to take this shuttle with us, because we had a slicer that was able to slice into the computer and stuff. So it was fun. We were having all kinds of fun stuff. But I want to tell you guys about this plan that I have in this game, and it's fun. So I was looking up some of the weapons and stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if this could work. And this is being done just for thematics, because I have this moment planned in our group, and I'm assuming nobody from my RPG group is watching this live stream. So I managed to steal a bunch of blasters, and you know, my character's not super law-abiding, so don't mind stealing. And I'm the kind of guy who will rob you but leave you enough money for food, because I don't want you to suffer. But if you've got more than you really need, I will gladly take it off your hands. But I really like stealing stuff too. It's fun, especially from people that have more than they need. So I basically stole enough, and I was able to work out this trade where I got some Cortosis gauntlets. Now, having read the latest Thrawn book, it really made me want some Cortosis. And they have Cortosis fighting gauntlets, and I was able to find a pair. And I also stole a bunch of Kyber crystals from our shipment. And so, the funny thing is, you know, I stole like 7 exactly, but I only really need 6. And what I want to have happened is I want to find an armorer or somebody who can work on gear, and I want to have them embed Kyber crystals into the left Cortosis gauntlet. And I'll keep one in case I just need a trade or something. It's cool to have stuff to trade. You know, like one of my characters is trying to trade absurd things. Like I accidentally gave a monkey to a hut, and that was pretty cool. And they really, really liked it. Yes, it's the Fantasy Flight Star Wars RPG. This is Edge of the Empire. But basically, I want to have like some Kyber crystals embedded into this gauntlet, and I'll throw the other one away. I don't need both gloves. I just want to wear the one, and so this way I can be like, and I got them. We acquired a YT-2400. We've been playing for a couple of weeks now, and I convinced them to name it after my mother, who was named Fanati. I just decided that, and I'm gonna, when I get my gauntlet forged, I'm gonna be like, and it's forged in Fanati, and here's the Kyber crystals, and I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna actually have this in my bag, but nobody's gonna know. And I'm gonna be like, all right, so I get my new weapon, and I'm gonna pull it out, and I'm like, it's the Infinity Gauntlet, and so I'm actually trying to get an Infinity Gauntlet in the Star Wars RPG. Like, and then I'm ready to go Jedi hunting or Sith hunting or something like that. I think it's gonna be awesome. Yes. So, yeah. Yes. So that will be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. And who knows? It might end up actually, actually have some use. Maybe it'll deflect some blaster fire and turn into laser beams and stuff. Crazy stuff like that can potentially happen. So I'm having a really good time with the Star Wars RPG. It's fun. And I guess there's all kinds of different Star Wars RPGs they have, but they're all basically the same thing. They're all related. It's kind of like X-Wing 1.0. You had the red core set and the blue core set, and they're completely compatible with each other. They just had a few more information in this one, less information in the other one. Something kind of like that. So I was a big fan of that. All right. Yeah, I do like the dice. So let me let's see. Let's see what you guys are been. All right, I missed a bunch of questions. So, can I show an updated Armada Rebel Fleet collection? I will probably do that one of these days. I can do that. Because I just kind of did the Imperial Fleet with since I got the Bellator, but I haven't really added much new stuff for the Rebel Fleet. I haven't added much at all lately. I think the only thing from the last time I did a full fleet is just the MC-75 is the only ship that's come out since the last time I did that. So it's really not much extra. I don't know if... Actually, I found a store that Sci-Fi City has a another one of those Hammerhead packs, and I was like, oh man, I can get another Hammerhead pack, but I'm like, I don't need 6 Hammerheads. It'd be nice, but they actually have one on the shelf, and I'm like, dang, that would be nice. So I think that would be fun. Let's see. What you guys are talking about? What is my favorite Armada faction to collect? All of them, because it's funny. People ask me sometimes what my favorite faction is, and it depends on the day. It really does. I feel like I end up playing the Empire a little bit more, but only a little bit more. And I think it's going to increase a lot more when the Super Star Destroyer comes out and they get 2 more commanders and the Rebels get nothing. So it's going to be a while before the Rebels get anything new. And that's kind of a bummer, to be honest. Let's see. Do I think FFG is doing enough to support Armada? It depends what you mean by enough. I think they're doing enough to support Armada. It's not as much as I would like. I would love there to be more. I would like more advertising for it. I would like more support for it. I would like quicker gameplay. You know what I really want? Having played a little bit with a test Super Star Destroyer list, I realize it makes the game very, very fast. And I think that's great. I love the idea of kind of speeding up gameplay, or having the option to speed up gameplay. I would love to see super squadrons, I would like groups of squadrons, like one squadron that has a different kind of tree system where you can put 3 X-Wing squadrons on one base, and that counts as a super group. And maybe you're only going to run 2 super groups of squadrons, and those represent large groups of squadrons. I would love to see something like that, and just so you could speed up the gameplay, and maybe one command could give all of them something. I don't know. I would love to see something like that. I mean, I haven't put a whole lot of thought into how to make it balanced and righteous or anything like that, but I think that concept could go a long way towards speeding up the game. You could still have miniatures. A lot of people want the squadron minis on the board, and I get that. I just wish there was a way to make it faster. I almost wish there was a hard limit of 6 squadrons in your list, period, just to make it a little bit quicker. But then again, a lot of people might freak out if something like that happened. I mean, yeah, that's too much of a fundamental change from the way the game is right now. But options, I don't generally like to run that many squadrons. But yeah. Do I think they will integrate or release Clone Wars for Legion? Or how do you think they will integrate, release Clone Wars for Legion? What will come out first and when? I don't know. I don't think anything for Legion, Clone Wars for Legion, is going to come out for a while. I think X-Wing is going to be first. And I think that might give us some insight into how they're going to do Legion, because X-Wing has already spoiled some of the models. Like we've already seen some of the Clone Wars spoilers at San Diego Comic-Con. They actually talked to the Star Wars show and gave them some early preview images. So they already have like a painted model to show off of those, which means they're probably a little bit farther along than, because we haven't seen anything like that for Legion yet. So I think the best way to find out how that's going to happen is to kind of look at how X-Wing decides to release Clone Wars, whether it's one huge wave like they did with Scum and Villainy, right? Was like there's one wave was all Scum, right? It might be something like that for just these new factions. It might be a new starter, might be a specialty box that's like I don't know, so maybe something else altogether. Maybe it'll be a campaign. Who knows? But I think you'll see iconic stuff first. I think you'll see very recognizable stuff first, and then the longer it goes on, it'll probably expand more into the fringe characters. So I'm just really hoping for a Gungan army, and I don't think that will be early. I don't think we'll see a Gungan army for a long time because, well, they weren't really fundamental to the Clone Wars. They were fundamental to Episode 1, which was technically before the Clone Wars. However, they're doing Darth Maul's Scimitar, which was also from Episode 1 before the Clone Wars in X-Wing. So I think Gungans are fair game. And that's what I think that would be. And honestly, Legion doing like Gungans would be so fun, especially if you have a Jar Jar Binks commander. Because you can totally, like, if you beat somebody with Jar Jar Binks as your commander, like, he should deliberately be a bad commander, and then so you can, like, roleplay it and be like, me's are gonna move and activate the Boombas, and you can totally do that, and just troll the heck out of your opponent. I think it'd be hilarious. Speaking of Legion, so I did a little painting. I'm gonna show you guys, some of the Legion painting that I had done. So it's all right. I don't think I'm done yet, but here we go. So I did some Scout Troopers, and I did Boba. And the Scout Troopers, I did kind of like the Shadow Trooper Black Series, or the Shadow Scout Trooper. Like there was like a Black Series like bike that I have. And I basically, like the Shadow Troopers, I just based them in black, and I kind of went over them with like a dark gray and dry brushed. Well, I did like a blue wash and then a dry brush of light gray, and then just put like another coat of black over the armor, over the plastoid armor parts, and then a little bit of whatever the shiny Ard coat is over top of that, just for the armored pieces. So I figure like I have a little bit of texturing in there, even though it's mostly all black. There's multiple different shades of grays and blacks. I don't know how well it doesn't all show up super well under this, but there's also my Boba behind them, and I think he came out pretty well. I need to do a little bit more. I didn't get the ring on the back side of his helmet, but yeah, I think they're close. I could play with them right now. They're not. I want to do a little bit more on those, and I use Citadel paints. I know that they're a little more expensive than other paints, but I have a bunch of them already, so I'm just continuing to use them. So yeah. So those are the latest stuff. I'm working on a second set of Scout Troopers right now that are just going to be kind of normal. But these guys, honestly, I wanted to go straight black because I figured it was easier. It was more forgiving for mistakes, and yeah, that's basically it. So yeah, that was them. Let's see what other questions we got. Let's see, we got. Are you using the minis from Legion? Yeah, we are using the mini. We're actually using Imperial Assault minis for our campaign right now, for the Star Wars RPG. And I'm using that big aqualish muscly dude, since I'm pretty close to him, although he is holding a gun and I don't use guns. I'm more of a brawler. I've got melee and brawl, bare fist, and I got a force pike. I'm all about stabbing on people and stuff. So that was fun. Well, I have an Armada battle report soon. I have had like 10 Armada battle reports in the past like 3 months. I've done a lot of Armada battle. I don't have any Armada full battle reports coming up. We do have another small tournament coming up this weekend, so I'll probably try and do like another tournament report. So not exactly a full battle report, but I do want to get some more full Armada battle reports. I want to try another. I want to try another Super Star Destroyer one, because I guess I've heard from a lot of people that the common belief right now is that the Super Star Destroyer is actually going to move from the middle instead of the front. So I'm going to try one that way and see how that feels. Kind of hoping they drop some more information and stuff, because I'd like to test out different versions. Even though the Bellator isn't as big as the Executor is going to be, I would like to see that. That would be fun. All right. Are the cards for X-Wing fixed now? I don't even know what that means. I don't know any broken cards, and how would they fix cards? I know the app had a lot of bugs that I think most of them are fixed, although last time I checked you could still put unique crew on the ship, even like there was no unique duplicate rule built into the app. So that was still a problem. Let's see. Do you think they will actually bring huge ships into X-Wing 2.0? They've said that that's in the works. Yeah, they haven't given any details yet, but they were asked about Epic in X-Wing 2.0 and the huge ships, and they said it's in development still. So, I mean, honestly, it's probably a much lower priority. X-Wing is a huge game for them. It's a monster, and most of the draw of X-Wing is in the standard tournament league format, that 100-point game, or now the 200-point game. And so the Epic format was never really that big for X-Wing, and while people did like it, a lot of people just didn't play it very much. And the Epic tournament stuff never really panned out all that seriously. So I think the Epic stuff is probably going to come out, but I just don't know if it'll be out before next year. It might be more than a year, is my guess. I would say by Gen Con 2020, we'll have our new Epic stuff. And I have no idea what they're going to do, to be honest with you. I feel like it wouldn't be hard for them to get huge ships in X-Wing for some of your other, for the Clone Wars factions. I feel like that wouldn't be hard. There's plenty of stuff available for those. I think the challenge right now is going to be to get huge ships for the Resistance and the First Order, and to make that, to balance 7 factions in Epic. And I don't think they really will try to balance them all that much in terms of gameplay, but to make sure everybody at least has a huge ship. And that's really, or at least some kind of Epic option. Like, the Scum only has the 1 compared to Rebels and Empire had 2, but Scum also has IG-88, which you can only run 4 of them in Epic format. So Scum has a unique draw to want to play Epic if they want to do something like that, and I think that's really cool. So it's possible that they could take an out-of-the-box approach with something like that for the Resistance to the First Order. I mean, I don't think any of the ships that we saw in The Last Jedi are going to be appropriate for Epic. You've got, what do you have? The Ninka was the smallest ship, and that was, I think it's too big. I think it's just, it's a lot bigger than a CR-90. It's closer to, it's not as, it's wider, much wider than a Nebulon, but I don't think it's as tall as a Nebulon. So it's like in between a CR-90 and a Nebulon, but because of its proportions, I just feel like it's too big for them to do the Ninka, or that bomber type of, I just don't think they'll do that one. So I feel like the show Resistance will flush a lot of that stuff out, and I feel like if they wait even longer, Episode 9 will definitely flush all of that stuff out. So I think, this first season of Resistance is going to be absolutely huge. And I know that some people don't like the animation style or whatever in it. I mean, if you don't like it, you don't watch it. I hope you find something else that you like. But yeah, I think Resistance, for those of us who are watching, and even if you don't watch it, regardless, it's going to be huge because of what it's going to represent. Like, all the stuff that it's going to canonize, all the stuff it's going to introduce is going to open up options for your tabletop games. So even if you don't watch the show, it's going to be giving you some cool stuff. Hopefully. I mean, hopefully it's cool. Hopefully we don't have, a giant Snoopy dog floppy-eared ship, and that's what it looks like. I say that, watch, that's exactly what they're going to do. We'll see. I hope for cool-looking ships, Do I have any plans on how to use the Ghost Crew minis from Mel's Miniatures? Well, that's easy. Just swap them for a Rebel Trooper unit. Done. That's what I did. That's what I have them for. Or if you maybe sometimes it's fun to house rule some stuff. If you're doing for example, if you're doing a 3-player game, you can use them as objectives. You can, there's a bounty, and, the Empire's put out a hit list for the Ghost Crew, and whoever can kill them and then bring their body, they can be recoverable objectives. Whoever gets to kill them can collect the bounty, and whoever kills the most and collects the most bounty wins. And you just, you do something like that. Actually, that's a really cool idea. Thanks for the question. You just inspired something awesome. Chris Brown, great question. Let's see. How many Super Star Destroyers do you plan on buying? The plan is for just one. For 2 reasons. Well, for 3 reasons. For 4. The more I think about it, the more reasons I come up with. For 1, I've got the Bellator already, so I don't think I really need 2. And I do expect, since there are supposed to be 4 versions of the ship, I expect there will be at least 2 cardboard inserts. So I figure with a Bellator and with an Executor, I should be able to field 2 Super Star Destroyers. I mean, honestly, got the bases. I just take the bases from 2 Rebel ships. That's what I have done right now. So, I don't even think I'll need... I'm probably missing something. Like, I'm probably forgetting something. I don't know. But that's the plan. Yeah. But also, the other reason is they're expensive. They're really expensive. And then the third reason is I don't really have space. I need to get some new storage. I need some new shelving units or something like that. I need to figure something like that. Because I don't like to disassemble all of my ships. I like to keep them set up and then just grab them when I'm going to play. That's what does it for me. Other than that, if I had to tear everything down, it would make me not want to play as much. And like having everything set up and looking cool in the background, I love it. And once it cools off here, I'll be doing more videos from the better environment as opposed to being inside. I live in Florida, and I do a lot of my videos in the garage, but it's just been way too hot. And our garage is not properly insulated. So, yeah, I would, within like 3 minutes of being out there, I'd be completely drenched and would not be fun to look at. All right, let's see. Let's see what else do we got. What do we got? Do I think Star Wars Rebellion is done for expansions? What would I like to see as an expansion? Well, that's a great question. I have a hard time figuring how they would do an expansion for Rebellion, specifically. Just because the board has specific edges and endpoints, I feel like they might have to have overlap if they did that, extend the board a little bit. But it's already a really big board, and I feel like they could just do a totally new board. Like if they were going to do it, it'd have to be a deluxe expansion that kind of fundamentally changes the board. And I think they could add unknown territories. I think a Thrawn's situation, Thrawn's arrival into canon has opened up a lot of options for a game like Rebellion, that they could do the unknown regions, and they could, you know, there's new players in the game emerging, and so that is an option. I think Rebellion could also possibly be ported over to Clone Wars, but that would also probably require an entire new board because there's too much on there that's specifically built for Empire and Rebels. So you could change the board out a little bit, and you could make it. You could do Clone Wars with it, or you could probably use the same board. Just swap the Imperial faction symbol on Corellia over to the Republic, and that would fundamentally change the game if you swapped the two factions and you made it straight up a galactic civil war where each side was a little bit more balanced. That could be pretty cool if they did a Clone Wars version of Rebellion. But I have a feeling if they did that, they would just make a whole new game. And if they did that, I would hope that they made it truly multiplayer, because I really want a big Star Wars 4X kind of game. It doesn't have to be 4X, but I want a big Star Wars big board game, a deluxe Star Wars board game that plays more than two. Realistically plays more than two, because I've said this so many times. Rebellion's not a 4-player game. It's a 2-player game. All right. You said yourself there were small errors in the rushed conversion kits. I did, and I don't understand what that is in relation to. Okay. Blah blah blah. Are we sure they're going to reprint X-Wing 1.0 ships for X-Wing 2.0? They said they were going to, and I see no reason why they won't. For a couple of reasons. Let's start at two. No, for one, it's like, first off, why wouldn't they? They're going to get free money. They're reprinting ships anyway, right? They're always reprinting stuff. Stuff goes out of stock. New players are always joining the game. So something will be out of stock and people will be waiting and waiting. Like, how long were people waiting for things like K-Wings and stuff? So they're going to be reprinting ships anyway. Might as well put them in the 2.0 packaging instead of the 1.0 packaging. Additionally, a lot of ships need a rework, a redesign, a resculpt in there. And like the S-foils, for example, for the X-Wing, the moving parts for the Fang Fighter, a lot of stuff like that. So they've made a lot of improvements and, bumped the price up $5 each, which some people aren't crazy about. I feel like they've improved the product, so I personally don't have a problem paying a few extra dollars for a superior product. So I'm okay with that. And so, like, there's a lot of ships that could see some more, like even the Y-Wing, total new resculpt, and in a lot of ways totally superior. The only problem I have with the Y-Wing is that freaking huge clown gun on top that was unpainted. That's just craziness. But the B-Wing, I really want to see a resculpted B-Wing. But they said they were going to do all the other ships. Another thing is the ones that they came out with already, like the X-Wing and the Y-Wing, there's extra new pilots. So, like, the idea is every ship has now got 2 named pilots. But when the blister comes out under 2.0, you're going to get more named pilots beyond those 2. So you look at the conversion kit, right? Every ship has 2 named pilots with the exception of the blisters. I mean, and I'm probably wrong. There's a lot of ships out there. There's probably one that has more than 2 named pilots, and then, I can't think of them all right now. But the point is, for the most part, the ships that aren't also being released as new individual expansions have just the 2 named pilots and 1 or 2 generics or something like that. Some have actually less than 2 named pilots. I think there's one that only has the 1. Maybe I'm going the other way around. I think there's some that have no generics, but not very many pilot options for most of the ships in the conversion kit. The blister packs, the idea of the blister packs is you're also getting new pilots for these ships in the blister packs. And then there's supposedly, I don't think they're going to do it, but they're supposedly going to have also little booster mini conversion kits, so you can just buy the pack and get the new pilots instead of having to buy the ship to get all the new pilots. A-Wings and B-Wings specifically are definitely missing pilots. All right. Let's see. Am I playing any Imperial Assault this fall? I am not. I gotta be honest with you. Since Legion's come out, I have a hard time bringing myself to play Imperial Assault, and it was it's for two reasons. For one, like I'll be honest, I haven't even bought any of the new Imperial Assault stuff, like the Thrawn expansion. I was going to, and I didn't. I started playing this RPG, and I'm like, okay, so Legion is satisfying the miniatures aspect and the combat aspect, and then the RPG is satisfying the narrative aspect, as far as I'm concerned. So I really don't have any itch that Imperial Assault would scratch for me right now, if that makes sense. I don't have I don't have anything against the game. I just I find the RPG, like, if it's taken me a long time to be able to commit to like a once a week game night to play the same exact game every week. So it's taken me a long time to commit to any kind of I don't normally like campaigns, and so I find that at least in the case of the RPG, I can have everything on just a couple of sheets of paper. That's all I have to bring. Whereas like running a campaign in Imperial Assault, there's a whole lot more stuff that has to be managed and tracked between missions if you're not just doing the whole campaign in one sitting. Which equipment cards you have. Like you need your player sheet, which you keep track of your XP and your credits, etc. But you also have to have all the upgrades that you've bought, which are physical cards, separated from the physical cards you haven't bought. All the equipment that you've bought, which are physical cards, separated from all the equipment that's not available. All of the like the side missions and the characters that you've unlocked, and like everything that you achieve through your campaign is another card. And then like there's so much maintenance that it's just like, if that's your main game and you can keep up with that, that's great. But like I play so many games and like I just can't. I have a hard time committing to that level of maintenance for one game that I would only play occasionally. So that's I just decided I'm gonna pull the plug on Imperial Assault for right now. May go back into it at one point, but yeah, I've kind of stepped away from that. I'm still going to follow like news and updates. Like if they announce anything else for it, I feel like they might be done with Imperial Assault. Because somebody asked about that at Gen Con. Somebody asked like what was the future for Imperial Assault, and he just said that the answer was like, we will support the app. And they're like, no. What about new plastic expansions? And the answer was like, we will support the app. And I was like, oh, that doesn't sound good. That was my walk away from it. But maybe other people felt differently. So, all right. You would love a full video game version of Armada and Legion. I think there is one. And I think it's called Empire at War, and I've done some live streams on that. It's it's not exactly the same thing, but of course there's Tabletop Simulator and Vassal too. I don't like playing tabletop games on a computer. I'll do it sometimes. I would just rather have the tabletop, the physical. I like seeing the stuff in front of me, and I like having other people around to socialize with. I don't like playing games against opponents over the internet very much. Sometimes, if I know the person, then it's different. Where in Orlando? You're in Kissimmee. Is the best place to buy and play Armada? Okay, so if you're in Orlando, join. You're gonna have to get a Facebook. There's a Facebook group called Orlando Armada, X-Wing, and Imperial Assault. And I've created that group years ago to try to get these games going. And it doesn't include other games like Legion and Destiny and stuff, because we started talking about those and some people were complaining and like, they're not for this group. And I'm like, all right, fine, we'll create another one. But we have that stuff. Anyway, but yeah, so in that group, we'll tournaments and stuff will be announced and stuff. We have one coming up this Sunday at Cool Stuff Waterford. Now that's close to UCF's. It's a little bit of a drive from Kissimmee. It's a 2-round tournament. It's typically what we run at Cool Stuff. About twice a month we have Armada events at Cool Stuff Waterford. Once a month it'll be like a tournament, and then the second time a month it's like a casual, like they're doing like a 2v2 casual event. So it's gonna be like huge battles and stuff like that. But this Sunday, it's a tournament, so a regular 400-point tournament. We play kind of casual friendly, so just 2 rounds. Starts at 2, and it'll go to about 7, 6-ish, somewhere in there, depending on how fast people play. So you should come out for one of those, you know, and you'll have a good time. I hope you do. And also, even if not, you can just use that Facebook group to like be like, hey, does anybody want to play Armada this week? You know, let me know. And I'm located here because I think there are some people in Kissimmee that way. We have some people in that group all the way from Tampa all the way down to Titusville. So from coast to coast in Florida, we have people in that group. So it's a good option for that. Do I think we will see ships? Wait, hold on. Do I know if or when Fantasy Flight is planning on making and releasing out-of-stock ships and squadrons for Armada? Yeah, you got to check the upcoming. Some people have already answered that. They're in the queue to be reprinted and reshipped, and some of them are already on the way to come back to our shelves, but it's a slow process. All right. Do I think we might see ships that can run for both factions in Armada, like a Rebel Quasar? I suppose that's possible. I don't know if they'll do that lightly. Like, I've theorized in the past that, like, maybe there could be a title called, gosh, what did they call it? It wasn't Phoenix Home. Anyway, I think I made one of those in my Nunchuck expansion. But basically, like, where you would lose some of the upgrades, because if the Rebels could take it exactly as the Empire has it, then that kind of takes away one of the Imperial's advantages. So maybe they can take it, but it's, you know, they had to sabotage, they had to fight to take over it, so maybe they lose some of its effectiveness. Like maybe the squadron value is reduced by 1 because when you stormed the ship, you did some damage to it to try to take it over. So maybe it has one less squadron value, or maybe it has, you know, loses a weapons team upgrade or something like that. So if they could use it, it shouldn't be exactly the same. Now, what you can do, since it's a medium ship, another good medium ship carrier for the Rebels is Assault Frigate Mark II. So just swap the model, use it as an Assault Frigate Mark II, but just put the Quasar on there, and then you can have your Rebels build, and you're just swapping them, as long as your opponent is okay with it. You need close-ups of that amazing Bellator I have painted, and how was using that beast, by the way. My honest opinion is it worth $140. I think it's beautiful. I done a battle report. I posted a lot of close-up pictures. Check out, hop in Discord into the Armada channel I have on my Discord. I posted some there. I posted some in a lot of places. I don't have any on me right now to show you, but yeah, I've posted a lot of close-up pictures of it. It's worth. I can't tell you if it's worth $140. It was worth it to me, but I have a. You know, I have a gaming budget that allows for things like that. Not everybody does. You know, I look at it like this. It's something I'm only going to be really using in test games. While, you know, if we're testing and preparing for the arrival of the Superstar Destroyer. But once that comes out, it's not as big as a Superstar Destroyer. It's not as long, so I'll have to. What I'm thinking of doing is actually getting some clay when the actual Superstar Destroyer base comes out. Getting some air dry clay. You know, and forming it into the holes, and you know, basically modding the Bellator to where it can fit on regular pegs for the Superstar Destroyer. So it'll be like almost like a parentheses to make it fit. I'm thinking of doing something like that, but it's not like I'm gonna ever be able to take the Bellator to a tournament, all right? But it would make for a cool custom objective, like for maybe a 3-player game, you know, something like that. You know, and so like I don't mind having stuff that I just can't use for the occasional, hey, let's do a cool custom scenario, you know. So I kind of like that. Um, let's see. Have I ever used mods for Empire at War? I tried. I haven't really investigated. I did some through Steam, and it said that they were installed, but then I didn't see any active, and I didn't look any further than that. So I'm interested in using some mods next time I play Empire at War. I'll probably have to investigate. I'll have to Google it a little bit more to how to maybe turn them on and activate them, because in the games, the in-games mod selection screen was all blank for me. Have I ever considered running cross-faction games? That's actually a cool question, because when I was at Gen Con and I was judging the Legion team tournament, they had made a little mistake, and they forgot to tell people that their teammates had to be the same faction. So they're like, some people were showing up, and like it was Rebels and Imperials, and like Luke Eddy on the spot made this like, all right, you know what? We didn't tell them they had to be same faction, so we're going to allow cross-faction teams. And since it was a casual, it was kind of like a for fun. Fun was the intent of the tournament. This was the team tournament, so it wasn't the main event. And I think for a casual, friendly event, cross-faction games would be really fun. Like Empire and Rebel, you know, teaming up against maybe another Empire and Rebel. I think that's cool. I think that's like a mirror universe, you know. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think it could be. Let's see. We wanted to talk about a few other things. Let's see. We talked about, I guess Battlefront 2 got a bunch of new updates. I'm going to have to check that out. I just kind of don't want to. Although I think Grievous is coming. Do I think the point cost for first order ships will take into account the limited number of ship types? I don't think that can possibly factor in to the point cost, because the point cost is I don't know, I just don't, I mean, I guess the point cost can change, but like basically that would be like, well, next year when there's double as many ships, all of a sudden these ships are now going to be cheaper. You can fit more of them in your list, or the cost should change because more stuff is available. I don't know.
Can I put this in the microwave?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's see. I think that's about it, guys. So I'm going to probably start wrapping this up, but yeah. So I'm going to thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm going to announce the winner for that X-Wing corset tomorrow, so make sure you stay tuned for that, and that should be fun. I've got a new giveaway on Patreon. I'm going to be posting tomorrow too. I'll give you guys a little preview. It's going to be this Sato Armada card promo from Gen Con. Sato Commander. So that's going up on Patreon, and that'll run for about a week. And let's see. I think that's about it. I think that is about it. Keyforge, the last thing. I am so ready. And we're getting close. That's coming soon. If you guys haven't checked out Keyforge already, it's really, really fun. And honestly, it's so low maintenance. If you play a bunch of games already, it's a $10 buy-in. You get a deck for $10. You're done. Play that deck, too, and then maybe, a couple months from now you buy another deck or whatever. It's cheap. But I mean, you don't have to build decks. You don't have to sort your cards into folders or whatever. You buy a deck. It stays as that deck forever. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. So definitely check out Keyforge. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, have a great day.